How's it going, everyone? It's Jack Mahanes. I am doing now another segment for this channel, given that we are in the midst of Oscar season. And one part of the season that I have to touch on is the upcoming SAG Awards, or as they're now called, the Actor Awards, which will be held on March 1st, and they will be streamed on Netflix. And for this segment, I had to invite on someone who's been a very good friend of mine for over 7 years. We've been through seven Oscar seasons together. And, he is, probably the ultimate Oscar expert, but you could even argue that he is an even bigger expert of the SAG Awards. So I had to invite him on to break down this year's major races in the film categories. So, Tariq, welcome.
Yeah, Jack, great to join you. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. So just to give you guys, sort of a, the big picture about how he's a great SAG expert. He has been really, really good with polling all the SAG members that he has connections with. And as a result, that's how he's been able to call so many long shots or things early on that people did not see until when we got to the ceremony. Like I'll just name some examples. Jamie Lee Curtis, he was like one of two experts who had her winning when almost everyone thought it was going to be Angela Bassett. Viola Davis for Mama Rainey's Black Bottom. A lot of people were thinking that that was where Carey Mulligan was going to turn things around from her Golden Globe loss, even though she won the Critics' Choice. But no, he said that Viola Davis was going to win because that was going to be a more SAG-friendly performance. Troy Kotsur for Coda. Cody Smith McPhee was kind of very, very, he was, you could say that he was, out front by like a fairly decent margin when the prediction center opened up. But Tarek mentioned that there was just no way that that performance was going to win over Troy Kotsur. And then another example, Denzel Washington. When everyone thought that Casey Affleck could not lose anything that season, he mentioned that Denzel Washington was 100% going to win the SAG award. So those are just a couple examples. But yeah, explain your SAG polling strategy that you do every year.
Oh, sure thing, Jack. Well, first of all, people forget that the SAG voting body, it's very different from the critics groups and also very different from the Academy. It's its own unique group of voters, and the results can be different, on many occasions. And in recent years, not only do I study SAG history, I've been watching since the very first year back in 1995, if you can believe that. But I've been polling, members, SAG members that I meet, that I come across, SAG members who I've known for years, and I always try to get as many SAG opinions as possible. And in recent years, for example, the year of 2022 Best Supporting Actress at SAG, I was polling members, and Angela Bassett at that point, she was the favorite. She'd won the Golden Globe and the Critics' Choice Awards. Kerry Condon won BAFTA. But when I was polling SAG members, I was hearing a lot of votes for Jamie Lee Curtis. And they expressed real passion for her and that performance and that film, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I realized if she really can't do this, I wrote an article for Gold Derby, 5 reasons why Jamie Lee Curtis could pull off a SAG Award shocker. And nobody believed me. And when Emily Blunt opened the envelope and said Jamie Lee Curtis, I said, there you go. And people said, good call. So it's a combination of things. But most importantly, I think people have to realize again that SAG, they are different than other voting groups. And that's why at times we can see very different results.
Exactly. I mean, I think another example, I remember you and I were talking about it from the moment the SAG nominations came out, right up until the actual ceremony was last year with Best Actor, because one of the things that we talked about was that when The Brutalist, the only nomination it received was for Adrian Brody, and it missed Best Cast. Both Guy Pearce and Felicity Jones missed out on supporting, and he was in there by himself. And one of the things that you and I talked about was that
Right.
that was going to be a very, very hard sell that SAG voters were going to prioritize a 3.5 art house movie with that subject matter. And so we just kind of knew that Timothy Chalamet for a Complete Unknown was going to be way more of a SAG friendly populist pick.
Oh yeah, no question. And it's funny, my polling last year, I found very few votes for Adrian Brody. So many voters had not seen The Brutalist, SAG voters, that is, and Chalamet was just way ahead. In fact, at Gold Derby, I had Brody for SAG fourth in the odds, and people are like, "What, are you
That's
crazy?" And
right.
I said, "I was hearing more votes for Ray Fiennes and for Coleman Domingo than I was for Adrian Brody." I knew he was never going to win SAG. The Oscar, yes, but SAG, no way. And so Timothy, people said Timothy Chalamet, he's never going to win. Brody's going to sweep, but Chalamet won. And by the way, last year I was polling and I was hearing more votes for Conclave than for Wicked among SAG members, and I was really surprised by that. And again, it was close, but at the end, I made the prediction for Conclave, based on the polling, and Conclave won. So it's not scientific. I've been wrong on things before, but at times it can be, very informative. So that's why I keep doing it.
Absolutely. And I should point out, you were the only expert on Gold Derby to call Conclave for best cast. Um,
Thank you.
But yeah, but yeah, that's the thing that a lot of people are sometimes forgetting is that SAG it is indeed a very different voting body than the Academy, and the Academy, does I think make more of the effort to see everything, but SAG voters don't always see
Absolutely.
everything. It's
Exactly.
because they are this is your average working actor. This is not like your most highbrow snobbish Academy member. And so that's why we see some of these populist picks win here. And so with that, I think yeah, this year I think is a very, very interesting race for all five of these film categories. But I think it's best that we start off with best cast.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so the nominees are Frankenstein, Hamnet, Mari Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. So what do you think about this one? Because this seems at the moment it seems to be a two film race, but what are you thinking with this one?
Yeah, Jack. It's interesting because I believe Sinners leads the odds overall. Most people, I think, are betting on Sinners. So there is some. I think some are predicting a one battle. But based on my studying SAG history over the years and based on my polling, I think that one battle after another is ahead. A couple reasons why. One is it's more really of an ensemble film, I think, than Sinners. I mean, Sinners really is Michael B. Jordan, a great supporting cast, but it really is, he carries the film. Whereas One Battle, no one really dominates the film. I mean, great performances from, this all-star cast: Leonardo DiCaprio, Benicio del Toro, Sean Penn, Chase Infinity, Teyana Taylor. They're all nominated for SAG individual awards. So it has that going for it. And also, I think that I think for actors, I think One Battle really it's more of an actor's movie. I mean, Sinners, a movie about, vampires. I mean, it's fun and it's a great cast, but One Battle, I think it's seen as more of a serious, actor's movie. Kind of like Conclave was, I think, seen as more of an actor's movie than Wicked, believe it or not. So I think One Battle is ahead. I hear votes for both, but I do hear more votes for One Battle. A lot of actors tell me they think One Battle is a slam dunk to win SAG, best cast. So again, no guarantees, but I think One Battle is likely to win this battle.
And I should also point out that he is the absolute best with the puns. Like you can always count on him to provide a good pun with his awards commentary.
Yes,
So
you've been warned, folks. So
so yeah, I actually have the same prediction, and the reason why I have it is because One Battle After Another, it received six,
yes,
nominations, not counting the stunts ensemble nomination.
right.
And it just seems like it's gonna win somewhere. And given that at the Oscars it is the Best Picture frontrunner. Now that doesn't always happen with SAG. Oftentimes, like
Mhm.
they don't always go with the film that's like out front for Best Picture. But I think in this case, I think it's very possible that One Battle could lose everything, but the cast as a whole wins. And given that it's likely gonna win, continue to win Best Picture prizes leading up to the
Right.
ceremony, I think that this could be the equivalent to the Best Picture win that's going to take here, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely is. In fact, I think One Battle may really sort of sweep this season the way that Oppenheimer did it 2 years ago. It won pretty much every, major prize, including Best Cast at SAG Awards, beating out tough competition from, I suppose, Barbie, if you will. And I think One Battle, I think it likely has a good chance to win SAG Best Cast and pretty much steamroll its way through the Oscar ceremony.
And I think if we're going to talk, if we're going to go back to Barbenheimer, I think that what you said about one battle after another being more of an actor's film compared to Sinners, I think that that's also why Oppenheimer was able to win over Barbie. Even though Barbie was the big mainstream hit like Sinners that everyone was going to
Right.
get around to seeing, I think that that is also the advantage that Oppenheimer had over Barbie. And so I think yeah, I think if I was a betting man, I know a lot of people do think Sinners can win this, and it can.
Hmm. Sure.
But I think that that is all those reasons you listed are why I'm with you. I think one battle's gonna take this one. And just kind of just going through these other ones. I mean, Frankenstein. I mean, I put that in my predictions last minute, but I think my case I can make against that one is that not everyone in that cast is amazing. Like it has some good performances and one really really amazing one, which we'll get to in a little bit. But
Right.
what's your what would you say about Frankenstein in this race?
Yeah, I was surprised that Frankenstein made it in. It was kind of actually a weak year for SAG Ensemble. I mean, I think we had three sure things: One Battle, Sinners, and Marty Supreme. The other two slots were wide open, and Frankenstein was widely seen, and certainly good actors and a good cast. But I was surprised it made it in. But I think it's there for the ride. Overall, got one individual nomination, but overall, the cast just not strong enough compared to One Battle and Sinners. So I think it's pretty much out of the running here.
Exactly. Mari Supreme, I mean, that has done very, very well at the box office. And the fact that it got a coattail nomination supporting actress. I mean, what do you think? I think the nomination surprise here, but I mean, it has obviously, given that it's done well at the box office, it's definitely a widely seen film. But I mean, does Mari Supreme have any chance of
Yeah,
surprising?
Jack, I don't think I've heard a single vote for Marty Supreme for Best Cast. So
Ah,
I
okay.
don't think it's even a contender. So I think the focus is on another performance in that film we'll get to in a moment. And so that's where they'll honor Marty Supreme. But here, it'll be sitting this one out.
Yeah. And then Hamnet, I think Hamnet is just too art house for this group, at least for best cast.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was surprised it got nominated as well because it seemed like the focus was on Jesse Buckley and Paul Mescal, who got individual nominations. But no, I mean, superb cast, but yeah, it's not a contender to win Best Cast. And like you said, it is a very artsy film. SAG voters aren't always as keen on those, like The Brutalist last year, which of course didn't do as well as Hamlet. But Hamlet, I think, yes, too much of an art house film, not as much mainstream appeal. And again, SAG voters are overall more mainstream than Oscar voters and BAFTA voters and critics. So Hamlet, not really a contender here.
Gotcha. Now moving on to Best Actress. The nominees are Jessie Buckley, Hamnet; Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs I'd Kick You; Kate Dot's Songs on Blue; Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another; and Emma Stone, Begonia. So yeah, what is your SAG polling telling you for this one?
Okay, Jack, this is fascinating because I know that Jessie Buckley is leading the odds. Most people think that she's going to sweep the season, including SAG. But based on my conversations with SAG members, based on my polling, this race really is, I think, too close to call. Now, first of all, with SAG members, as I've been speaking to them over the past few weeks, a lot of them have not seen both of those films. A lot of them have a lot of catching up to do, and it's hard for them to see all the nominated films. And Hamnet was not a big commercial success. I mean, a small art house film. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. I mean, made what, like I think $1 million at the box office. So they're able to stream it now, but those aren't two widely seen films. So that makes things very tricky. A lot of voters have said, check back in with me, closer to the ceremony, which I do plan on doing. But based on voters who've seen both films, it seems like Rose Byrne is ahead. People
Oh,
are wowed
wow.
by that performance. She's a better known actress than Jessie Buckley. Of course, Rose Byrne, she was part of a Bridesmaid, which was a Best Cast nominee for the year of 2011. She's known for television work in Damages. She was an Emmy nominee. She's been in big hits like Neighbors with Seth Rogen, so she's better known. Also, Hamnet, like we talked about earlier, it being such an art house film, it doesn't have as much broad appeal to SAG members. Even though it got a Best Cast nomination, I think that hurts Buckley. She's not well known, and I think voters too. If I Had Legs to Kick You, I mean, Rose Byrne, she carries that film. Jessie Buckley, she's the lead in Hamlet, but I think if I'm in Hamlet, but if I'm not mistaken, she has, I think, maybe about 55% of the time she's on the screen, whereas Rose Byrne is on screen for more than 80% of the film. I mean, she really dominates it, and I think really, even though it's a dark film, if I had legs, I'd kick you. That's one that I think SAG voters are really intrigued by. I mean, it's a performance that they're wowed by, and I think she has got a great chance of winning. Again, no guarantees here, but don't be at all surprised if Rose Byrne pulls this off.
Yes, and you list so many great points with that. Yeah, the fact that, I mean, a lot of people, I think, argue that Paul Mescal is a co-lead in Hamnet. And
Sure,
so that movie is very much a two-hander. I mean, she does have more screen time
correct.
compared to him. But yeah, that is very true. And it also is true because one of the things that you have told me over the years is that name recognition plays a huge role in who comes out on top at SAG. And I think it's no debate that Rose Byrne is a more well-known name to your average working actor compared to Jessie Buckley. I mean, Jessie Buckley is mostly known among like us, film snobs,
Exactly
to
right.
be honest. Like she's more well known there compared to, I could, talk with my friends. It's like, hey, do you know who Jessie Buckley is? And then chances are they probably don't know who she is. So that is true. However, I'm gonna stick with Jessie Buckley only because that film got the best cast nomination and it got Paul Mescal in. And now I think that here it's gonna be tighter because I remember when I
Mhm.
saw Hamnet in mid-November, I remember thinking, okay, she'll likely win all of these, but SAG, I really want to see what's gonna happen, like how that
Sure.
film's gonna perform with nominations. Are they gonna get around this film? But the fact that it got like those nominations make me think that's probably going to be high priority, like compared to if I had Legs Like Kick You. And the other thing I'll say also about if I had Legs Like Kick You is that A24 in general has been putting a lot more resources behind Marty Supreme. They have been putting the resources behind, if
Mhm.
I had Legs Like Kick You, but just kind of like the bare minimum to keep Rose Byrne in the spotlight. I think, and I think that the fact that A24 has really focused its campaign on Marty Supreme, I do think that hurts Rose Byrne just a little bit. But where you and I are in agreement is that I do think here, I would not be shocked if Rose Byrne pulled it off, assuming that they get around to that film.
Right, yeah. Check down one thing. I don't think that the campaigning for the SAG Awards, I don't think it's the same as it is for the Oscars and other awards. Really, in this case, it comes down to, do enough of the members actually watch it. If Hamnet was a huge commercial success, if Jesse Buckley, let's say, this was Kate Winslet in the role, and the film had made, let's say, close to $100 million, and I think it'd be a slam dunk. I mean, there's no way that Rose Byrne would win. But in this case, Hamnet, I don't think it's that strong with SAG, despite the SAG Best Cast nomination. And also, with If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, it has been available for members to screen. A lot of them have talked about how they've heard great things about Rose Byrne. So actually, I think that there is a lot of interest in watching that film. And also, Hamnet, I think I've known that some voters told me they couldn't get through Hamnet. Some SAG members told me that they were just bored by it. Whereas everyone who's watched If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, I mean, they have been mesmerized from start to finish. So that performance, I think, with SAG voters, it's been gripping them a lot more. And again, the key is here: if enough of them do watch the film and vote, based on seeing the films, even if they watch both Hamnet and If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, I think that Rose Byrne would win if they watch them both. So again, I don't know. The membership's so large now. I don't know how many of them will actually see both films, but Rose Byrne, that performance really is wowing SAG members, and she really can win.
And you brought up something that I remember you bringing up with a Best Actress race a few years ago. I remember because one of the things that you had mentioned in a lot of in some segments that you've done or some articles that you had written, and also in our conversations, that there were a lot of SAG voters who were turning off Tar halfway through.
Right.
Even though Kate Blanchett,
Mhm.
obviously was, a big name with SAG, That film was a very, very hard sell for SAG to stick through. And that's why you insisted that Michelle Yeoh was going to win because,
Mhm.
your SAG polling for that one was 2-1. And,
Yes.
Everything Ever All at Once is, the way you describe Rose Byrne in If I Like So Kick You, it's just this film and performance that just mesmerizes you and you're hooked on it from start to finish. So that's a really, really good point. And
Well,
I definitely will definitely be watching for
Rosemarine did
that
a
on
line, and I did payment at exactly 11 p.m.
yeah.
That's a producer for you.
Yeah, so no, Rose Byrne definitely she can win, and I know when they open that envelope for Best Actress at SAG, I know a lot of people are going to be waiting for Jessie Buckley, and again, it could happen, but I think people will be shocked when Rose Byrne, if she does, pull it off. And remember, we told you it was possible.
Definitely. And then just going through these other nominees, I mean, Kate Hudson's Song Song Blue. I mean, if you really look at it, that does kind of fit like sort of the mainstream role that SAG would go for. But I even if they get around the film, I just don't think they'll think that, she has her performance has much of the acting chops as the two frontrunners.
Right, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, a good performance, and I think really, a SAG-friendly film. I mean, she's playing, a singer, and of course, she's a household name now, Kate Hudson. But somehow, I don't think there's the passion behind that performance. And I've heard a few votes for her, but I don't think she's in contention whatsoever.
Yeah. And then Chase Infinity, One Battle After Another. I mean, debut film performance. I rewatched One Battle very recently, and I'm really surprised that like Warner Brothers thought that she had a shot at getting in for like they thought that they could really get her in for lead looking back because it's really not a lead performance, and this is
Right.
her first film, so there's no chance she's going to win
Yeah.
this one.
No, actually, one thing I will say about her is that her film is the most widely seen of the nominees. And actually, have heard votes for her. Some people really did like her. I have heard votes for her. Now, as more voters have seen, I think, Hamnet and If I Had Legs, I don't think she can win at this point. But I think her vote tally will be higher than most people realize based on the popularity of the film and based on the fact that this film has been more widely seen than the others. So that's why I have her, I think, now in third in the odds, and I think that she will finish behind both Byrne and Buckley.
And that makes sense. And then Emma Stone, Begonia. I mean, I think it's safe to say Emma Stone is one of the most revered actresses of her generation. But I think that now that she's a two-time Oscar winner, she has a lot of awards on her shelf. I think it's going to be a while before we're talking about her in the context of, winning the major televised awards again.
Yes. Oh, and by the way, I think actually Begonia actually makes Hamnet, look like a mainstream romantic comedy. I mean, Begonia is so weird. I think I'm surprised that she got nominated by the SAG committee, but I've heard I think one vote for her. Actually, I tweeted about that today, but she's not. She has zero chance. Will she even vote for herself? I mean, she knows it's hopeless. So I imagine she might just vote for whoever she knows will likely win because there's no point of voting for herself.
Absolutely. Now on to Best Actor. The nominees are Timothée Chalamet, Mari Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio, One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke, Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan, Sinners, and Jesse Plemons, Begonia. What do you think of this one?
Oh, it is Timothy Chalamet, hands down. I mean, he's a slam dunk. Last year we both predicted him for Complete Unknown. He's even a bigger lock this year than he was last year. I mean, Marty Supreme delivers a terrific, flashy performance. It's a film that's a huge commercial success. I think most voters have either seen it in theaters or now watching it or streaming it, and everyone loves that performance. I mean, he really does. He carries that film. It's 2.5 hours long, and he is just in it from start to finish. And it's such a dynamic, sort of flashy, energetic performance. It's the kind of role that I think SAG voters eat up. And he's such a popular actor. Even though he won last year, they're going to have no problem voting for him again. They know that he lost the Oscar last year. I think everyone knows, even SAG voters know that this is Timothy Chalamet's year. He's going to win the Oscar, and they'll want to reward him first. So I think Chalamet he has this in the bag. I have heard some votes for Michael B. Jordan, and I think that he will have, maybe a decent tally, but nowhere near enough to really challenge Chalamet for the SAG Award or the Oscar for that matter.
Yeah, no arguments there. I mean the thing. Excuse me. The thing that you touched on this already, and the one thing that like I have heard some people mention, including some of my friends, is that they're a little bit apprehensive that he would win again consecutively because no one has won lead actor back to back at SAG. But, I have pointed out to them that Renee Zellweger, who won SAG for Chicago in lead, but then she lost the Oscar by a nose to Nicole Kidman.
Exactly.
Um, and then the next year, even though it's in supporting, it was a consecutive win because SAG voters knew, even though Cold Mountain got no other nominations, they knew it was Renee Zellweger's win, so they had no problem voting for her again.
Exactly. Good comparison.
And then also, I remember a lot of people were doubting Frances McDormand to win for Three Billboards at SAG because no one had won a lead actress SAG award more than once. And you wrote about that she was going to win
Mhm.
SAG that year. And so it really just, yeah, it really seems like, Chalamet has everything going for him. The film's a hit at the box office. He's been, he hasn't just won the Golden Globe and Critics' Choice. He's even leading the critics' prizes. Like his momentum is just
Yes.
insane. And so, we expect him to win BAFTA on the Sunday of this recording. And
Yes.
it just seems like, this just seems like a sweep type performance.
It really is.
And then just kind of going through all these other contenders, Leonardo DiCaprio, one battle after another. Like, look, even though at the Oscars it's the Best Picture frontrunner, I think the thing honestly that hurts Leo is the fact that he's the lead, but he's like the face of like a large ensemble. He's not carrying the
Absolutely.
film. He's missing for like some sections of the film. And I mean, I know some people have, talked about the possibility of him winning BAFTA or
Mhm.
SAG, just one of them, and changing the
Mhm.
race like Mikey Madison last year.
No.
But yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, no, I think it's a good performance. He's obviously a beloved actor, but they know that he won for The Revenant. They know that he'll likely win again. But this year, One Battle again, like you said, it's really more of an ensemble film, and his material. He doesn't have really the material to really compete with Timothy Chalamet. And again, they know that Chalamet has never won the Oscar, and that this is his year. There's just no reason to really deny Chalamet to order to mark your ballot for DiCaprio. In fact, DiCaprio, he's not even second, in this race. And Michael B. Jordan is second at SAG. So I think that DiCaprio's tally at SAG will be actually very, 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 very low, quite frankly.
Definitely. Ethan Hawke, it's interesting. Two experts, I won't say their names, but two
Mhm.
experts actually have him winning SAG. And yeah, I mean, the thing is that like a lot of people, I keep hearing this chatter on social media. And again, it's just chatter. Like it's no like
Right.
I don't know if it's like real, it's not real connections, it's just speculation. But like a lot of people have been like, what if Ethan Hawke pulls this Jessica Chastain style turnaround at
Mhm.
SAG? By like winning SAG and then people are like, oh, this is a respected veteran we got to finally give it to. But the thing is, this is not the film that SAG voters will make a high priority, and really, Sony Pictures Classes films they don't really do well with
Mhm.
SAG in general. And yeah, I think that just sounds like a pipe dream, to be honest.
Yeah, there is zero chance of Ethan Hawke winning SAG. I'm sorry, that is just not going to happen. I mean, he's a respected actor. He's been around for like a long time. It's a good performance, but I don't think that the performance doesn't really stand out enough for him to win SAG. There's not really, I think, any momentum for Ethan Hawke, and I don't see any reason why voters now, knowing that this is Chalamet's year, SAG voters, they love Marty Supreme, they love that performance. Why would they overlook Chalamet and mark their ballots for Ethan Hawke? I've heard a few votes for Hawke, but he is way behind. He's way behind Chalamet and even Jordan. He's just not even in the race, and so I think it's ludicrous. People actually predict Hawk to win SAG. So there you have it.
Yeah, reality will bite them soon.
There you go. Exactly. So
See, I could do the pun game too.
yes, yes. Or they'll end up in the Dead Predictor Society, right? So
It's just jokes here, everyone.
that's right. Yes.
Okay, we touched a little bit of on Michael B. Jordan, and I think honestly, if there was no Mari Supreme, I think we could actually make a good case for him to
Oh,
potentially win.
absolutely.
But
Yes.
I think that I think I agree with you. I think this time around, I think it's too much of an uphill climb. And then Jesse Plemons, look, no one has won a lead acting prize at SAG who was not up for the Oscars, and so very good performance, but yeah, no chance for him.
Exactly.
Okay. Supporting actress. The nominees are Odessa Zion, Mari Supreme, Ariana Grande, Wicked for Good, Amy Madigan, Weapons, Wumi Wasaku, Sinners, and Tiana Taylor, One Battle After Another. This is a pretty interesting category, but what are you thinking with this one?
Oh, Amy Madigan in Weapons, her material, that is her biggest weapon. I mean, that is just a classic scene-stealing performance. She is unforgettable in that film. Weapons was a huge commercial hit, did very well at the box office, was number one for several weeks, back in August when it came out. And her performance, that's all so many people were talking about. I mean, really, it was, in a sense, one of the more talked about performances of the year. I mean, Anne Gladys, as you said, people were dressed up as her for Halloween. She was just so dynamic. That helps her. Also, to remember, SAG voters overall they tend to oftentimes they actually do like veterans, and for example, especially veteran actresses. We've seen people like Gloria Stewart for Titanic. She won SAG supporting actress. Amy Madigan, she's been working in films for decades. Her first Oscar nomination came 40 years ago for Twice in a Lifetime. And she is, I think, a recognizable face to SAG members, and that helps her as well in a field, largely of newcomers. So I think Weapons, Amy Madigan Weapons, she's way ahead. My polling shows that she is just she's killing it, no pun intended, and she's going to win SAG. Whether or not she wins the Oscar, I know that's a different story, but SAG, Madigan definitely has this. I think there's really very very little chance that Taylor can pull this off at SAG.
Yes, and I remember we were texting during the Golden Globes, and I did predict Tiana Taylor to win the Golden Globe. I mean, I didn't think after she won the Globe there was going to be a sweep. And I remember texting he was like, I still think Madigan's going to win SAG. He was like, oh, absolutely, she is
Mhm.
she is going to win SAG because
Right.
that role, as you mentioned, like that role is just checks off so many boxes with this group. It's a box office hit. It's a transformative role. It's very, awards baiting material. I mean, yes, it's in a horror movie, but still, it's a very, very flashy performance. And yeah, I mean, it is the only nomination that it is the only nomination that Weapons is up for at SAG, but because it was just such a such a big smash hit last summer, they obviously got around to it. And so I agree with you. I mean, I think the Oscar is a very different story, but we're in full agreement. I really think that she's going to win this.
Yes. By the way, I almost thought Weapons might get a Best Cast nomination at SAG because it had large cast. It was such a hit. I thought it was in contention there. It missed. It was probably in the top 10, I'm guessing. But even though it missed, everywhere else, it wasn't really expected to show up anywhere other than perhaps Best Cast. And even though it's not present anywhere else, Madigan supporting actress, I think SAG voters will gravitate towards that performance, her name, and she's going to take this.
And I would also add that with her role, it took this movie, which I thought Weapons was a good movie. I mean, it took it from being what could have been just a solid, average horror film to you when you finish that movie, you remember that performance. Like she's in the last third of the movie,
Exactly.
but just the impact that she makes is just so incredible.
Right. No question.
So, but yeah, and then going through the rest of these, Odessa Zion, I think that her getting in just shows. I think that that's a big sign of strength for Timothy Chalamet more than
Sure.
anything else. With
Right.
Ariana Grande, she was up for this last year, and if I recall correctly, you mentioned she was not too far behind Zoe Saldana in your SAG polling.
Yes, yes, yeah. Last year when Wicked was doing pretty well, my polling actually last year showed Cynthia Erivo ahead for lead actress. That was the one sad category, film category I was wrong on. But yeah, she had support last year, but this year, Wicked for good. I mean, it's basically it's basically dead. Let's face it, and she has no chance this year.
No chance at all. I agree. And then Wumi Masaku. I mean, I've heard some people talking about her having a late surge, but I don't know if I see that performance, pulling it out when you have Amy Madigan there, to be honest with you.
Oh, exactly right. Yes, and I think she does. Masako does get some votes, some people voting for Sinners across the board, and there are some of those. And I have heard some votes for her, but not enough for her to actually win. And again, I think any anti-Madigan votes will largely split between Taylor and Masako. So neither one of those is going to have nearly enough votes to take the prize.
Right, because we often say that when there's a clear front runner, if there's like two or more alternatives, then that front runner is likely safe.
Absolutely, yes.
So, and then Tiana Taylor, you know, she could very well win the BAFTA.
Mm,
Excuse me. She could very well win the BAFTA, and she might even win the Oscar.
mm.
But I think it might be too much of an uphill climb with this group.
Exactly right. By the way, a lot of people are predicting Taylor to win SAG, and they're going to be in for a real surprise when Madigan when her name is called out, because that is what's going to happen.
Yes, because oftentimes a lot of people just default to the person who has momentum, and they kind
Mm,
of forget that this group is different, and we could see
exactly.
someone very different. Like, I mean, I remember a lot. We alluded to this earlier. I remember like a lot of people were predicting Cody Smith McPhee to win SAG for Power of the Dog
Mm.
because he had swept the critics. He won the Golden Globe, and people just thought his momentum was going to continue with SAG, but just people would often forget that this group is not the Globe voters. This group is not the
Exactly.
critics. And so, Tiana Taylor may have, good chances of winning somewhere else, but she likely is going to fall short with this one.
Exactly right. Jack, actually, one thing I wanted to mention real quickly, because people need to remember now, SAG merged with AFTRA, a few years back, and so now it's SAG-AFTRA who gets to vote. And so I think probably two-thirds of the membership are the SAG members, but you have all these AFTRA voters as well. And I think people who work in television, I mean, a lot of my colleagues who work in television news are AFTRA members, and they can vote for the SAG awards. And we often wonder, how do their votes impact the race? And I'll tell you something, based on my experience, most AFTRA members, people who aren't actors, who work in television and can vote for the SAG Awards, who can vote for the ACTRA Awards, they don't vote. So I think that really is primarily the actors, the SAG members who actually vote for the ACTRA Awards. So even though they're eligible, these AFTRA members, most of them I don't think actually take time to watch the films and fill out their ballots. I mean, some do, but I think the vast majority don't even pay attention.
Agreed. So now, you and I don't watch a whole lot of television, but you
Oh,
and
by
I
the
do.
way, oh, are we going to do supporting actor in a film?
Oh, thank you.
Okay, yes.
I am so sorry.
No, it's
I,
okay.
I forgot about supporting actor. Okay.
That's really, I think, really the most fascinating category at SAG, I think.
Yeah. I mean, so okay. Yeah. Supporting actor. Okay. The nominees are Miles Caton Sinners, Benicio del Toro, One Battle After Another, Jacob Lordy Frankenstein, Paul Mescal Hamnet, and Sean Penn, One Battle After Another. I mean, yeah, this is probably, I think, the toughest one to call of the night.
Yeah, Jack, this is a race where any one of the five theoretically could win. It really is wide open. It's a classic fractured race. And Jack, I'm going to ask you a question. What is the number one rule uh, about when we have a fractured race? What's the number one thing to remember?
The person in the strongest film wins.
Well, actually, that could be. But actually, what I was going to say is actually, in a really fractured race, the person you think has the least chance of winning can actually pull it off. And I would, for example, point out to Marissa Tomei, Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars of 1992, and she was almost like a surprise nominee. And that year, I think she was probably fifth place in the odds. Nobody, I think this is before Gold Derby, before the internet, but nobody really thought she had any kind of chance. And there were these four international actresses, three British, one Australian, and people were saying, oh, it's going to be Joan Plowright or Judy Davis or Miranda Richardson. And when Jack Palance opened the envelope, it was Marissa Tomei whose name was called out. And this race here, now again, anyone could win. And I just don't know for sure. But based on my polling in this fractured race, first of all, I think Sean Penn and Benicio del Toro, those two will cancel each other out. I've heard votes for both. But not enough where I think either one can win based on the vote splitting. When I ask so many voters which one they prefer of those two in one battle, people seem split. So I don't see how either one of those wins. I know that Del Toro is leading the Gold Derby odds, if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people think he's going to win, but I think that's unlikely. Again, he did well with the critics, but SAG voters aren't critics. You have to forget about that. So
Mhm.
let's say we take those two out of the equation. Now we have Jacob Elordi and Frankenstein, and he won the Critics' Choice Award. And I know a lot of people are predicting him, and that could happen. Have heard some votes for him. I don't quite think that's going to happen, and I'm going to give a couple of reasons. The first one is that, again, as terrific as he is, playing Frankenstein, he's playing a monster. It's not a conventional actor's role. With the type of dialogue and scene work and dynamics that they're sort of used to, so I think that hurts him. And also, based on some of my talks with SAG members, this is going to sound really silly, Jack, but there's the envy factor that most SAG members, the struggling actors, they're average looks, some maybe more, some maybe below average, but they're average looking people. Jacob Elordi, I mean, he won the genetic lottery. And I mean, he's too perfect. He's too good looking, and I think a lot of actors feel like he doesn't need he doesn't need our vote. He's got it made. He's gonna have a huge career now. He's gonna be a big star here. He doesn't need our vote. And again, I know that sounds silly, but I think that really is a real factor with the mentality of SAG voters. And so Paul Mescal and Hamnet, for whatever reason, great performance has not picked up much traction. I have heard a few votes for him, but the one I've been hearing a lot of votes for, which has surprised me, really has surprised me, Miles Caton in Sinners. A lot of voters said that they weren't sure about this category, but I've heard a lot of voters say that they're going with Miles Caton. They thought that he was great in Sinners. They like Sinners. Voters who are checking off Sinners for Best Cast are checking off Caton's name as well. And also voters who aren't voting for Sinners for Best Cast, they want to vote for it somewhere. And obviously it's not going to win for, Best Actor or Supporting Actress. Supporting Actor at SAG, it's one place where they can actually honor Sinners. So he kind of has two blocks there of voters, going for him. And also he's the underdog. And SAG voters at times, they really do like to go for the underdog, kind of in a way that, Parasite won Best Cast over Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, a film with, a bunch of, Korean unknowns would beat out, a big, cast of Hollywood heavyweights like Leo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, a movie that was, set in Hollywood, had Hollywood in the title, but Parasite won. Or also like, Coda winning, Best Cast, which was, I think, a tough battle, beating out, Don't Look Up, which again had, big names like Leo DiCaprio and Kate Blanchett and Meryl Streep. So Miles Caton in Sinners, I know he's probably fifth in the odds, but I've heard a lot of votes for him. He really could pull this off. That would be one of the biggest shocks in SAG history. Again, no guarantees, but Miles Caton, he really could do it.
That would be an Emily Blunt style
Yes,
shockaroo if that
yeah,
happened.
right.
Because going back to, rewinding back to 2018 in film, um, when Regina King missed out on SAG, and we learned, sometime later that was because the committee did not get the screeners for If Beale Street Could Talk in time.
Yes.
And so with her out of the race, given that she was seen as just the odds-on favorite or like the heavy favorite for the
Mhm.
Oscar, that left that race wide open. I remember the person that a lot of us a lot of us defaulted to was Amy Adams because a lot of us thought, for Gina King missing out with, with SAG was this going to be an opening for Amy Adams to
Mhm.
potentially take this and turn around and be like, it's my time.
Mhm.
But then when Chris Pine presented that award and opened the envelope, whose name did he read? Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place. And was not nominated anywhere else. And
Right.
she won it over Amy Adams, both Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz for The Favorite, and then
Mhm.
also not nominated at the Oscars, Margot Robbie for
Exactly.
Mary Queen of Scots. So I remember I asked you years, sometime later, I was just like, how did she do that? And it was like, they saw the movie.
Mhm.
And you mentioned that, looking back, Vice was not doing well with your SAG polling in terms of people
Exactly. Yes.
who had seen it. And so that's the thing is that, they, everyone's going to see Sinners.
Oh yeah,
And
they won't
and
exactly.
and so
Yes, whether they're sinners or saints, they've seen the movie, no question.
and so yeah, this is a really, really tough one to call.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jack, by the way, may I just tell you real quickly, some of our viewers will appreciate this. I was at this Oppenheimer lunch a couple of years ago and got a chance to talk to Emily Blunt, and of course, I brought up that SAG win. And I asked her, I said, Emily, how surprised were you when your name was called out? And she said, I was shocked. She goes, I was fifth in the odds. She goes, I thought I had no chance. And she was just really blown away. And so that was a great moment. Again, she was the underdog that year. And again, this year, in this category that really is, it's wide open without Stellan Skarsgård. I think we both agree he's going to win the Oscar. He'll win BAFTA. He won the Golden
yes.
Globe already. He'll win the Oscar. He's not in this race. That really throws it wide open. And, again, in a really fractured race here, we could see surprise. And, yeah, again, Miles Keaton really could be this year's Emily Blunt. Again, I'm not saying he's a lock, and Lordy could pull it off. It's not impossible that one of the one battle actors could win. Again, I think it's unlikely given the vote splitting, but if I've got to pick somebody here, I'm predicting Miles Caton. I've got message from people asking why on earth, but it's something that really could happen. And it's funny, it's kind of like back in the ceremony in 1983. If somebody had been predicting Marissa Tomei at the time, people said, "What? Oh, that she's in last place. She has no chance of winning," and it happened. And again, it was a fractured race, so something like this, we really could see that happen this year at the SAG Awards in this category for Best Supporting Actor in Motion Picture.
Absolutely, and I should add that Pete Hammond was one of the very few people who called Marissa Tomei, and that's because he knew he was polling Academy members at the time, and a lot of
Yes.
people he had said in a segment a while back,
Mm,
it's like, who do you think will win? And some people were like Judy Davis, some people were like Vanessa Redgrave, but then he would ask them, who did you vote for? He went, oh, I voted for Marissa Tomei,
right.
and so that's what he was like, well, that's there you have it.
Exactly. Yes.
So, gosh, making a prediction is so hard. I'm gonna roll the dice and I'm gonna go with Jacob Elordi. And this is the one that I'm like the least confident making a
Mm,
prediction of the big five. But if I had to make a case for him, the role is a dramatic transformation. I mean, yes, it's not like, the transformation that you were talking about SAG Bros normally goes for, but it is a dramatic transformation.
sure.
The film's on Netflix, they'll all get around to it. And there are a lot of TV actors that are voting for this as well. It's not just
Mm,
film actors, but TV actors. And he was very, very well known for being on Euphoria. And so, he does have that, that type of,
mm,
name recognition, familiarity, you could say.
mm.
And so it's a close call, but I'm gonna say like he wins this, but not the Oscar.
Gotcha. Yeah. But you agree. But you think but you agree it's a very fractured race, and like you don't feel confident about that prediction either. Correct?
Oh, no, 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 no. Like there's
Right.
some I feel like obviously like with Best Actor and supporting
Right.
actress and Best Actress to some extent, maybe not as much as those two. This one
Oh,
I'm like this is the one I'll be like, biting my nails like as like,
sure.
they're going through the
Exactly.
category. I'm like, what on earth is going to be happening here?
Exactly right. Yes, yes. So, by the way, if Miles Keaton, if he did pull off, if he does pull off this shocker, the people in that room, they'll be excited. You're going to see that that'd be a really great SAG moment to see this, this newcomer, his film debut. He was not up for any of the other major awards. I mean, he won the Critics' Choice, the Young Performer Award, but he wasn't up for the Golden Globe, not up for the Oscar. But to see someone like him to win the SAG Award, that would be really a great SAG moment. So. If that happens, it'll be exciting.
I have one more question I want to ask you on this category.
Mm.
If it was Delroy Lindo in Miles Caton's place, how do you think that would
Oh,
change the dynamic of the race?
he would definitely win. Yes, Lindo would have been more likely because he's a veteran actor. Not also in a popular film, but a veteran actor. So I think he would have easily won SAG if he'd been nominated. So I actually predicted him to get nominated for SAG, not the Oscar, and I got it backwards. So, but yeah, if it had been Lindo nominated for SAG, I think he would have won almost handily, quite frankly.
You know,
Remember when Ruby Dee won SAG for American Gangster, the year of 2007, and people were surprised by that. But she was a veteran. She was in a film that was a box office hit that a lot of voters had seen, and that helped her. So, yeah.
yeah, but I wonder outside of the scene where she slaps Denzel Washington, I wonder if there wasn't that scene if she would have won. Um,
Oh, right, exactly right. You absolutely yes, yes. And again, it's SAG that year. She was kind of like an easy name check because it was kind of like an open category, and so that's what really did it. It was she won, I think, largely because of her reputation. She was a veteran, and it was just an open category, and she squeaked through. So,
Definitely. So yeah, we kind of gone through all the everyone individually and why they're likely not going to win. So yeah, now that we've done all the film categories, I think so. You and I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but you and I also do have a good track record with predicting TV. But I think we could just do like a quick lightning round and just kind of go through all these and just if there's really, I think a lot of these are fairly easy. But if there's one to have a conversation with, we can have a brief conversation with for sure. Um, Best comedy cast, I think that's easy. The Studio.
pretty much yes.
Comedy actress, if weeks ago I would have said Jean Smart would be continuing a winning streak and win this again. Then, unfortunately, the great Catherine O'Hara passed away.
Mhm.
And SAG voters are a lot more sentimental compared to Academy voters, whether it be in film or TV.
Absolutely.
And she is a very big name with
Yes.
SAG. And I mean, does it go without saying that she's going to take
Oh,
this?
yeah, exactly right. Anyone who thinks that that smart is going to, win again this year, well, they're not being smart. So, yes. So they'll be home alone, on SAG Awards night when Catherine O'Hara's name is called. She is an absolute lock to win now.
Yes, definitely. And then Seth Rogen, I think for comedy actor,
Yes,
no arguments
it
there.
is.
Um, uh, Drama cast. I'm going to say the Pit continues its winning streak.
Yeah, I guess so. It's funny as I've been talking to SAG voters, the Pits. It keeps coming up. Everyone seems to like love that show. So I've actually thought the White Lotus has a huge cast. A lot of big names could be contender, but it looks like the Pit is probably the one, the one to take it.
Yes, and the White Lotus's acclaim has been dipping. I mean, it's still a fairly popular show. I mean, it's going to have a fourth
Mm.
season, but
Mm.
it does seem like the fact that it won, I think it won like what, one tech at the Emmys this past year. That just goes to show that
Sure.
like, the acclaim for that show is kind of fading, which
Right.
which does happen for a lot of shows as it's, the series
Exactly.
progresses. But and I don't think that's going to happen. Drama actress. Safe to say Rhea Seehorn.
Oh, exactly. Next category. Right.
Right. I mean, I wondered what else Britt Lauer was going to be winning after she won the Emmy.
Mm.
But it does seem like that was just, an Emmys only situation.
Exactly.
And then drama actor, um, Noah Wiley.
No, Wiley. Yes, it's his year. I mean, again, he is, I think a beloved veteran actor. He was, huge back in the 1990s with ER, which I know this is before your time, but he was, a huge star back then, a very popular show, ER at the time. And yeah, so I think he's on a winning streak. The show's so hot. He's so well liked. I think it's Wiley all the way.
Definitely. And then we have the limited series categories. Limited series actress is an interesting one. I have Erin Doherty, because she's, won everything and everyone's gonna go around adolescents. But I wouldn't entirely count on Michelle Williams.
Right, yeah, it's funny. I had Williams for a while, and then actually you talked me into it that Doherty, because adolescence is just such a phenomenon, that she's likely to go along with the ride. And again, adolescence, it has, I guess, four nominations, here at SAG, so it's hugely popular, and I guess that'll be enough for her to, to take it. Williams, in Dying for Sex, I suppose that she does have, more name recognition, and I think that I have heard some votes for her, but. I guess I would believe that the support for adolescents will be enough to allow Doherty to take it. So I won't be shocked if Williams wins, but I have now switched over to Doherty, like you.
Yes, and the other thing that I would mention about Erin Doherty is she's not a stranger to SAG.
Mm.
She's won at twice as part of the cast of The Crown because she played the um, Princess Anne in season 3 and 4. So they know her from that series. And
Oh
so
wait, so you think SAG voters they've heard of that show, The Crown? I didn't know that SAG voters really were familiar with that show. But you think so? Okay, I'll take your word for it. So,
that fun fact about The Crown won a SAG award for every season except for season 5. It had six
wow.
seasons, and the only time it won nothing was for season 5, which was its weakest season.
Mm.
I'm sorry. It had some good moments, but it was just, I think, like season 4 for me was the peak. And I think
Mm.
after that, it was just kind of hard for the remaining 2 seasons to live up to, season 4.
Right.
And then final category, limited series actor. As much as both Stephen Graham and Owen Cooper have
Mm.
been on, a winning streak, I think that winning streak comes to an end for Stephen Graham. And I
Mm.
think that this is Owen Cooper's to lose.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, he's won everything so far, right? And again, there's so much. I think there's so much passion for adolescents, and in a sense, too, I think for SAG voters, it's almost cool for them to actually see, such a young person, win an award for a great performance. And so, Yeah, Cooper is it's funny that Owen Cooper is gonna have an easier time winning at SAG than Bradley Cooper ever has, right?
Or really winning anything major.
Right, exactly.
I mean, to be fair, Bradley Cooper does have a couple Grammys to his name, but
Yeah, that's part of the Silver Linings playbook for him, right?
exactly, and he does have a BAFTA for writing the set, being part of writing the soundtrack for A Star Is Born.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean a SAG award, yeah, I mean it'll happen for Cooper someday, but for
No,
Bradley
no
Cooper
doubt.
someday. But but yeah. Well, that's all. That's pretty much it. Is there any final thoughts that you want to add before the end of this segment?
Oh yeah, well, just think people should remember that at SAG Awards we do see surprises, and at times that voting group does go their own direction. And so, again, don't be surprised at all if we see a couple of shockaroos, probably in the film categories, like the ones I'm calling for possibly for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actor. I think there could be at least one big surprise, and so just be prepared for it. And remember, it's fun to have those surprises. So I'm hoping that we have at least one of those because that really makes it all worthwhile when there are those jaw-dropping moments like Marissa Tomei winning the Oscar for My Cousin Vinny, and hopefully we will have perhaps a couple of those at the upcoming SAG Awards or the Actor Awards, I should say.
Absolutely. Final question. So I think we agree that supporting actor is the biggest nail biter of the night. What do you think is the biggest lock of the night?
Oh, I would say Timothy Chalamet for Best Actor. Yes,
Yeah, I think when you check go through all the boxes, I think he checks them all. So
yeah,
no,
no question.
I agree. Well, Tarek, thank you so much for doing this with me. Always fun to compare notes and yeah, and we'll see what happens on March 1st.
Sounds great, Jack. Thanks so much.